to cover the idea of giving advice, but in such a hypnotic way that the conscious mind doesn't automatically reject the idea. Okay? So
Okay.
you've probably had times in your life where you've given someone advice, knowing it's exactly what they need to hear, but they turn around and say, no, I've tried that. That doesn't work. Have you had that sort of phenomena before?
Yeah.
Excellent. Everybody has. Now, what tends to happen with advice is it's not so much the advice that you're giving that does all the problems. It's more the mindset that you're giving the advice to.
Yeah.
Okay. So when someone has a problem, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've probably gone through this because I know I have as well.
Hmm.
When we have a problem, we're so close-minded to actually finding resources, right?
Hmm.
Because if we were open-minded, we'd find the resources and go, oh, I can just do this instead, and my problem would no longer be there, and I'd be a happy person. But it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. So when we have a problem, we actually build up a stronger conscious thinking to the problem.
Hmm.
And to give you an idea of what occurs, um, every time you have a problem and trying to resolve it, and you sit there and think about it, you sit there and plan what you're going to do differently, and you sit there and think how your life's going to be different without this problem, you are actually reinforcing that problem to stay longer.
Hmm.
Now, why is this? Is because you're adding to the problem with all these thoughts and all the extra effort you're putting into it. You're giving it fuel.
Hmm.
Okay. So basically, what we need to do is offer solutions in such a way that doesn't become a fuel, but becomes a almost aha moment where a person sits there and goes, "Oh, hang on, I'll just do this," and you can sit back and go, "Wow, that's a great idea," knowing that you were the person that gave them the suggestion, but they'll be unaware at that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to break this down is let's look at, we're going to think of this more of a conscious session. We're going to see what we can come up with. I'm going to give you a couple of different problem scenarios that a client will come in, like smoking, weight loss, or something like that. And just off the top of our heads, we're going to go back and forward. And I just want you to present a solution that you think would help somebody. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll give you an example. If it's a smoker, the solution I might have in my head will just be stop buying cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go back and forward. Let's come up with as many solutions as possible. Then I want to show you how to add a hypnotic twist to them so they do more than advice has done in the past.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's use smoking again. I'll use the, stop buying cigarettes and you won't smoke anymore. What solution could you offer this person?
Um, don't keep a lighter in the
Don't keep a
house.
lighter, right? Simple,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Another one for me would be oh god, this comes from a background of never smoking. Smoke heaps and heaps of cigarettes till you start throwing up, and then you'll feel so sick and never smoke again. Who
I
knows how
like
it works, right? Yeah.
that.
What else? What else can you do?
Just maybe lock yourself in a room where there's just, you just in your room, you can't leave, and no smokes, no outside influences, nothing, no stress, no
Beautiful.
smoking.
No stress, no smoking. Excellent. We could also look at taking out a loan that you know you can't pay back to buy a lifetime supply of cigarettes. Go broke, live on the streets, but at least you've got your cigarettes. Who knows? What's another one?
Right, right. Just don't smoke. How's that?
Perfect, right? Yeah, don't smoke. Now, if you have a friend or a loved one and they were a smoker and you could see it was affecting their health, but they really didn't care,
Mm.
and you said to them, hey, I think you should stop smoking because it's ruining your health, what do you think their reply would be?
Oh, I've tried it before, or
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to like later though.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yes, that is so common. I will later. Yeah, I'm gonna stop next week.
Yeah,
It's like that diet that never starts on Monday. Well, I'll start next week. Who starts a diet on a Friday afternoon, right?
yeah.
So it's the same thing with smoking, absolutely. And other things that tend to come up is when we give people advice in in the wrong environment, is they almost have that attitude like, "How dare you tell me what to do?"
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, and this is where coaching and sometimes NLP comes a little bit or goes a little bit pear shaped, is because a coach is supposed to give advice under the authority that they have as a coach, which is
Hmm.
almost saying to someone, "I am better than you. You need to listen to me because you've come to me for help. You've come to me and you've paid a lot of money to be one of my clients. Now I'm telling you what to do." Now that can work in some cases, but I'd rather not have some cases. I'd rather work with the majority rather than the minority. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
I know as well from my own experience, if I'm doing something that's really not helping me move forward in life, and my mum or my mother might tell me, "Hey, you need to do this instead," or "Go ahead and do this because this is what worked for me when I was younger." Even though it's my mum, which I love, I still have in the back of my mind, don't tell me what to do. I'm not a
Mm.
child anymore.
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
instantly create that barrier.
Yeah. Or I'll like just do the opposite of what
Yeah,
they say.
yeah. You start to rebel and go, you know
Despite
what?
them.
Yeah, despite them, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be sometimes your clients will give up their addiction or overcome their problem just out of spite for you because they hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. You quit the way you quit. Okay, so let's now look at weight loss. Let's see if we can either come up with the same sort of scenarios, the same solutions, or would there be different ones for different problems? So weight loss, for me, would be stop buying junk food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
for you.
Just buy like a year's worth of salad, like with, I don't know, join Weight Watchers or something.
Beautiful, excellent. Start going to the gym and get healthy.
Yeah. Be around fit people that make you feel fat.
Excellent, yes. Hang a very obese picture of yourself on the fridge so you see it before you go into the fridge. That's a common one.
That's a great one. Put pictures of really skinny people all around your house.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So what else could we have? Buy clothes that are way too small for you or too many sizes too small for you and throw all your comfortable clothes out so you're forced to wear the things that don't fit.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Might do that.
There you go. See, and look at this, the solutions we're coming up with. Do you see how, as a hypnotist already, we're doing something more than most people without our skill set? I wonder if you can pick that up. Do you have any idea what we're doing a little bit different with these solutions? Starts with a C.
Oh, no, I don't know the word. No.
That's right. We are being creative.
Oh, right, yeah.
Do you see how when you talk to a friend, let's look at the weight loss thing again, someone says, well, stop eating junk food and you won't be fat. Okay? Mm-hmm. But now we're being creative with our solution, and that creativity forces a client to go, oh, that's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that for us is a sign of trance, is it not?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so just by being a creative person that we're becoming, learning hypnosis, we're already doing something so covert. And if you recall, one of the previous techniques we looked at is when a client says, well, I'm always been a smoker, and you over-exaggerate the opening and say, okay, so what you're telling me is you wake up in the morning, you've got a mouthful of cigarettes, all your clothes have pictures of cigarettes on them, and you work in a cigarette factory and your deodorant smells like cigarettes. Is that what you mean about loving smoking? We've looked at that before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We are being creative, and it's enough for someone to go, what? Or, oh, that's not a bad idea. And that's enough for now. So you see the first step, we're already bypassing critical thinking to do something better.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, kind of unsticking them a little bit.
Thank you. Yes, we are unsticking. And what you said right then was perfect. Just a little bit. Haven't we always looked at the theme of just doing something by small amounts, so those small amounts add up to something big?
Yes.
Okay. The big solution would be stop eating junk food and you won't be overweight. That's the big solution. Okay. But right now we're saying, hey, why don't you just try this instead? Just do this and only only use this solution to the extent that it works for you. And when it stops working, then we can have another chat about something else. Okay. So let's look at one more. Let's look at a little bit more of a tricky one. Let's look at phobias for dogs. Okay. What solutions could we give to this person just to get them thinking a little bit?
Okay. Now, that's a bit hard.
Okay, well, I'll give you the first one just to get your brain thinking. Yeah. What about moving to a neighborhood where there's no dogs?
That could work, yeah.
Quite an extreme solution, right? Now, what are the chances that someone's going to say, so you expect me to move house so I'm not around dogs? And you go, yeah, why not? And they go, well, it's out of I can't do it, it's out of my budget. So I guess what you're telling me is you're happy enough to live in a society or a neighborhood where there's dogs only to the extent that you can actually afford it. Is that what you're telling me? Do you see how that rationale that we're bringing out, and they start to go, well, I guess I have been putting it up with it for a while. I guess my problem's not as bad as I think. Do you see how that could work?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and that's what we're going to explore a little bit later. So what could be another solution, just to get one out of you?
Mhm.
What could be another solution?
Just don't go places that there are dogs. Like,
Right? Simple, right?
yeah, pretty simple.
Avoid all the roads and all the laneways where you know they're dogs, and go the opposite way.
Yeah, just pretty much just staying in your house. That
Yeah,
would be
stay in your
easy.
house.
Yeah.
Right? Excellent. So, being creative on the spot is something that will take time to connect inside your mind, but it just comes with the territory. It comes with the nature of the way we're starting to think, which is a little bit more bizarre than most people think, especially with the style of language that we've been using. So now what we need to realize is the solutions we're giving is violating one of the biggest rules, which is it's our solution. Okay, who are we to tell someone how to live their life? How on earth could we know consciously the potential that they have unconsciously to change? It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So the way I like to view it is any point where, and I've stumbled across this before, where I think in my mind I'm sitting there with a client and they're talking about giving up smoking and doing this and doing that, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, it's so obvious, stop buying cigarettes.
Yeah.
But I can't say that. But there is a way to present the same solution in a few ways, actually, that can be a part of their thinking rather than just being totally rejected or starting an argument. Okay?
Yeah.
So the simplest way to do this is what I call stacking solutions. We're going to use something called the overload principle, and we're going to stack these solutions so the conscious mind cannot keep up with the amount of solutions that we're giving at one time. Okay, so let's look at the cigarette one again, and I'll do it very, very basically, mechanically, and a little bit formal right here, knowing that we're creating the context for trance to occur because we are hypnotists and people being around us will tend to fall into something. Let's say clients start saying, I want to give up smoking, it's too hard, it's this, this, and this. And you think, you know what, I'm going to offer a couple of solutions under the proviso that I'm not going to try and do anything with these solutions. I'm not trying to aim for the punch in the face of trance. What I'm doing is just, I'm going to chuck them out there. If they land, they land. If they don't, they don't. And it really doesn't matter. Okay? So it's going to sound like this. So is it, I guess you're here to give up smoking today, right? And they say yes. So I guess there's a couple of ways you could look at things. I don't know whether just quitting smoking is just going to be enough for you. Or is it more the fact you need to stop buying cigarettes so you don't have the urge? Or on top of that, is it more the fact you want to actually dump all your friends so you're not around people that smoke? Or did I totally misunderstand and it's really just about feeling good, healthy about yourself? Or did I totally misunderstand the whole scenario? So what I've done right there on a very mechanical level is offered 3 or 4 solutions that a client's going to turn around and go, what? I couldn't follow what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing for us. Because if someone can't follow, which part of their mind is saying it can't follow?
They're conscious.
And that's of no use to us, right?
Yeah.
But if I looked at them square in the eyes and said, well, why not just stop being around your friends that smoke? That would help, right?
They're going to consciously just rebut it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, they're just going to go, well, yeah, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're going to sit back and go, wow, that really didn't work. So we're bringing in solutions from the coaching and NLP side of things, but we're adding the hypnotic twist to it, which is using the overload principle. Okay. Now you can go on and go on. I've done this with clients in the past where I've said, 10 or 12 solutions all at once, and I find myself talking for about 3 minutes. And then when I actually pay attention to my client, they're that much in a trance, they can't even remember their name. Okay. So it's not a bad thing. And I know that some of those solutions are being heard by the unconscious, because if they weren't, they wouldn't go into trance. Which means that later on, this is the funny thing, client will come out of your formal actual hypnotherapy session and go, you know what? I've just had a weird aha moment. I never thought that I could just tell my friends not to smoke around me. And you'll have in your mind going, oh my God, I told you that an hour ago. Yeah, I said that. But you can't be too condescending, and you almost have to go, wow, that's a great idea. I mean, that would work, wouldn't it? And they go, yeah. Now you're taking the credit, or yeah, I guess we could say you're taking the credit for offering a solution in a roundabout way, but they think they came up with it, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, a funny thing is you could offer a point blank solution and say, well, why don't you do this? And then after the formal session, they come out and go, you know what? I just thought of something. And you go, what's that? Well, it just occurred to me, if I stop using my savings to buy cigarettes, I could probably pay off my house. And again, you're thinking, I just told you that an hour ago. But it's not a bad thing. Okay. But
Yeah.
what tends to happen in the coaching side of things, and this is not just a whole session about knocking back coaches, is the coach will turn around and say something like this and go, well, that's what I told you to do. Now, as soon as you bring out that authority, what happens to the attitude?
It's just like, oh, like they kind of lose the excitement about it because it's like,
you're taking the power off. Yeah. Just for the fact that as a therapist or a coach, you want to say, oh, look at me. Yes, I gave you the solution. I'm the best. I told you I was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if that comes out and you know you've told your client, we just have to sit back and go, wow, great idea, knowing that it was us that gave it to them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Just the whole equation of what we're going to play with today.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to chuck you in the deep end as per normal. And I want you to just overload me. Don't worry about the language. And okay, I don't care if it's formal and say, well, do this, or do this, or do this, or do this. Just get a feel for creating a little bit of a speech, offering different solutions. Okay, so the problem I have is weight loss, or I'm struggling with weight loss. Give me a bunch of solutions, all tied into one little speech. See how you go.
Okay, yep. So you want to lose weight? Well, why don't you just join a gym, get a few friends together that are going to maybe keep you motivated. As well as doing that, you could probably put some photos around the house of like what you want to look like, or, take all the junk food out of your fridge and your cupboards and, maybe join up to Jenny Craig or something and, make sure you got that influx of healthy food coming, or maybe like when you're taking the kids to school, maybe you guys can walk together. I don't know, just putting it out there, but I just feel like these are things that could help you if you want to lose weight. So, yeah.
Excellent.
I can't remember what else you were saying.
And as a matter of fact, that is absolutely perfect, because I actually have forgotten the first thing you actually said.
Oh, okay.
Which I know you don't even know because you're not scripting this stuff. So what's occurred right here, I know the exercise you're doing, but consciously I'm trying to keep track of the suggestions you're giving me. And to the extent I can't remember them, means I can't argue them. And that's what's important. If you stopped if you went into questioning mode, which would sound like this. So, well, what if you were to just walk your kids to school? That would help you lose weight. And you go, yeah, so why don't you just do that? Now what I've done is I pulled them into the conversation. I'm asking for a response.